At this point, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Tite Kubo isn't a fan of revenge. Within the story, it's portrayed as a destructive quest that inevitably damages the hearts and souls of those who fall for its alluring promise of self-satisfaction. Over the course of Bleach, Kubo has demonstrated that revenge stories never have a happy ending. It destroys those who pursue it, and it even deprives them of the happiness that they could have had if they had chosen to move on from the source of their pain. Kaname Tozen, who sought revenge against the Soul Society for the unjust death of his friend Kakyo, had lost his rank as a captain, his role as a defender of the Soul Society. Now, despite the fact that he had admitted that it had made him happy to live his life this way, his quest for revenge had led to his untimely demise. Genichimaru had similarly dedicated his entire life to serving Aizen, only for the chance to kill him one day. Now, this quest causes him to lose the life that he could have had with Rangiku if he had only let go and spent his time with her. It also corrupts his soul because of the many terrible things that he had done while serving under Aizen in order to gain his trust. After committing so many crimes, he himself had considered that he was unworthy of living a happy life with Rangiku. This quest for revenge had also cost him his life, when his attempt to kill Aizen had ultimately failed, and in the end all he had achieved was helping Aizen to power up to the next level. Another example of revenge within Bleach comes from Head Captain Yamamoto, who succumbs to his anger after Yhwach kills his beloved student and lieutenant Chojuro Sasakibe. This results in his brutal death at Yhwach's hands when he tries to avenge Sasakibe. The story makes it clear that revenge is not something to be celebrated or sought after, as it only destroys those who pursue it. This powerful message is one that Kubo consistently reinforces throughout Bleach. Among the many victims in this anthology of revenge is Sajin Komamura, and in this video we're going to be exploring the events that had led him down his vengeful path, and we're going to analyze his final battle within the Bleach story, his fight during the second Quincy invasion against the stern Ritter Bambietta Basterbine. Before the video begins, only 12% of the people who watch my content are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy these videos, then subscribe and stick around for more content just like this. Now let's get back to the topic of the video. The first Quincy invasion was a challenging time for many characters. The Soul Society had suffered a brutal and humiliating defeat. Numerous captains had their Bankai stolen by the Stern Ritter, and worst of all, they had lost their captain commander Yamamoto Genryusai. This tragic loss deeply affected the Gotei 13. However, some had taken it much harder than others, like Captain Komamura, who was heartbroken because Yamamoto meant something much deeper to him. As a member of the Beast clan, his kind had lived ostracized from the rest of the Soul Society, but Yamamoto had accepted him and had given him a home among the Gotei 13, allowing him to belong and to work towards the betterment of the world. In return, Yamamoto had gained Komamura's absolute loyalty and respect. Determined to avenge the death of Yamamoto, Komamura had sought power from his ancestor in order to defeat Yhwach. This had resulted in him learning the humanization technique and returning to battle the Quincy with his newfound power. The second Quincy invasion had started in chapter 547, as the Soul Society was instantly swapped with the hidden Wandenreich city, negating their home advantage and putting the Shinigami on the receiving end of a horrifying assault. The Stern Ritter had quickly hunted down the Shinigami, with Bambietta Basterbine and her friends joining the fray. Bambi was furious because Komamura's Bankai had returned to him, and this was made possible thanks to Urahara's shadow pills, which had holified the stolen Bankai, causing them to be poisonous to the Quincy and thus allowing them to be returned to their rightful owners. After realizing that she had been abandoned by her friends, she had unleashed a massive explosion that had alerted nearby Shinigami to her location. Interestingly, Bambi didn't seem weakened or injured by the holified Bankai that was in her possession, but most of the Stern Ritter who had lost their stolen Bankai were affected in some way, such as BG9 who was experiencing system failure, or Kangdu who was suffering a severe wound. It's unclear as to why Bambi and Asnot didn't show signs of being affected, but it's possible that they had recovered from its effects by the time that they had taken part in their respective battles. The Bleach story implies that Asnot and Bambi are a bit more powerful than Kangdu and BG9, so it could be that their strength had allowed them to withstand the hollow poisoning, and I think that this is quite a plausible theory. Now, returning to the story, Bambi's explosive outburst chest serves as the perfect signal for the Shinigami to locate her. Shinji, along with Komamura, who is now cladded in this new armor, interrupt Bambi's tantrum. She comments on Komamura's armor, particularly the bucket that is on his head, to which he replies that it was a gift. Shinji interrupts the conversation and activates Sakanade, an ability that seems to do a bit more than just invert the senses of the opponent. Now, because the Vizards tend to reveal their abilities in detail to their opponents, this new effect doesn't last very long. Bambi panics and activates her holy form, launching an omnidirectional attack that hits Shinji, knocking him out, as well as deactivating Sakanade. She continues to bombard Shinji with more bombs as his Lieutenant Momo tries to catch Bambi off guard with a surprise attack, but Bambi catches her and launches a few bombs towards her. Komamura then saves Momo in time and tells her to retreat. Now at this point, Komamura still believes that he can deflect Bambi's bombs with his armor, but this assumption is proven wrong when a bomb explodes on contact, destroying the armor that is on his arm. Bambi reveals that her bombs can't be guarded against, as the reishi projectiles that she releases turn whatever they touch into bombs. Her bombs can damage anyone regardless of their physical durability, and she demonstrates this by raining another haul of explosives over Komamura, who can't deflect them since he's protecting Shinji at the moment. Komamura ends up taking the full brunt of the explosion as Bambi begins to celebrate, thinking that she's destroyed Komamura's armor and she wants to see his beastly form. However, the figure standing before her is an unrecognizable human version of Komamura with slight bestial features. It is then revealed how the interaction between Komamura and his elder had eventually gone down. After the elder asks him to remove his heart, the flashback ends, and Komamura activates his Bankai, which now has taken up an all-new humanoid form, and it completely loses its armor, which becomes a very important point moving forward. Their battle resumes within chapter 557, with Komamura in his Bankai state pursuing Bambietta, who tries her best to evade his attacks, but she wonders what has happened, as not only has his Bankai changed appearance, but so has his body. She speculates that a beastly face might be hidden under his new Bankai form, and in response she fires more bombs at his Bankai, but Kokujo Tengen Myo blocks them. She observes that despite her blasts hitting him in his armored state, he remains undamaged. Komamura explains that his Bankai has cast off its life by shedding its armor. Bambi is quite confused as she points out that she had his Bankai not long ago and she knows all of its abilities. Now this is a very clever detail on Kubo's part, as he chooses somebody who is familiar with Komamura's Bankai, allowing for greater surprise when it begins to exhibit previously unseen traits. Knowing that the Bankai's main weakness was its ability to share wounds, she aims her bombs towards Komamura's chest, as well as firing several at his Bankai. Now the damage causes Komamura's chest armor to cave in, revealing a massive hole where his heart should be, as it becomes clear that he has offered his heart to his ancestor, and the heart that we had seen in the bowl earlier was indeed Komamura's. At this point, Bambi realizes the depth of Komamura's conviction, as she questions what meaning his life has if he has chosen to throw it all away, but he replies that by participating in the battle, he had already forsaken his life. He emphasizes this by having his Bankai slash with its sword and driving them inside her body, nearly killing her. I say nearly because later on she ends up being killed by her own friends. Now after this battle, Komamura moves towards Yuhobaku's castle, only to find that his new form is starting to deactivate, and he was gradually reverting to nothing but a wild beast. This was the final price that he had to pay for losing his soul to vengeance. It's worth pondering what Komamura had truly achieved in the end. He had sacrificed his heart and mind in order to defeat an enemy who didn't even die in the end. Bambi eventually became one of Giselle's zombies and had remained in that state even after the story had ended. She had continued to kill more people even after her defeat by Komamura. His victory was very short-lived, and he had failed to accomplish his primary goal, which was killing Yuhobaku. Sadly, this was the true extent to which revenge could have taken him, further emphasizing the futility of revenge within the world of Bleach. In conclusion, the battle between Komamura and Bambietta highlights the heavy price one must pay for seeking revenge. Despite Komamura's immense sacrifice, he fails to achieve his ultimate goal, and Bambi continues to wreak havoc even after her defeat. And this thought-provoking confrontation raises questions about the true cost of vengeance, and whether if it's worth pursuing in the face of its destructive consequences. With the second core of the Bleach 1000 Year Blood War arc anime airing in July, it will be interesting to see if this fight is expanded upon, and if we will be able to gain any new insights from Komamura's character via the anime. I hope that the anime delves deeper into Komamura's decision to sacrifice everything for revenge, as well as giving Shinji a bit more of a spotlight in this battle, as I'd love to see more of him fighting against Bambietta. Either way, I think that having an expanded role for both Komamura and Shinji would do a lot to build upon the manga, which I feel like had underutilized these two characters in the final arc. Now, can we expect any more surprises or new revelations about Bambi's fate and her role as one of Giselle's zombies in the new anime? It's definitely going to be very exciting to see Bleach return in July, and now we've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What were your thoughts on this fascinating battle and the themes that it explores? Did you learn anything new from this analysis, and do you have a different perspective on the battle between Komamura and Bambietta? Definitely let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next Bleach analysis video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.